All right, let's just dive right in. We're about to tackle one of the most infamously difficult and honestly mind-altering books of the 20th century, Jean Baudrillard's Simulacra and Simulation. So buckle up, because this one, well, it might just change how you see pretty much everything.
And he starts things off with this absolute bombshell of a quote. Just let that sit for a second. He's not saying the truth is hard to find or that it's being hidden. No, he's saying the very concept of truth is a trick, a kind of smokescreen to hide the fact that there's no original reality left to find in the first place.
Now, to really get what he's talking about, we have to start with this old fable. Picture this. A group of map makers create a map so incredibly perfect, so detailed, that it ends up being the exact same size as the empire it represents. It literally drapes over the entire territory. The map is a copy, the land is the real thing. Makes sense, right?
Well, this is where Baudrillard flips the whole thing on its head. He says that in our modern world, that simple relationship between the map and the territory, it's not just outdated, it's been completely inverted.
See, in our world, the map, the simulation, the model, doesn't follow reality anymore. It actually comes first. Think about it like this. Your GPS doesn't just show you the road that's already there. These days, entire cities are planned using traffic simulations and data models. The model doesn't just represent reality, it literally creates it.
So, the big question is, what happens to the original territory, the real world, when the map takes over? Well, it just withers away. It becomes a wasteland, just a few scraps left behind in what he so perfectly calls the desert of the real. So how on earth did we get here? How did reality turn into a desert? Well, Baudrillard says it wasn't one big event. It was a slow, creeping process, a kind of degradation of the image that happened over 4 phases.
Okay, so first the image is just a good copy of reality, like a realistic portrait. Then it starts to distort reality like a political cartoon that exaggerates things. Stage 3 is where it gets tricky. The image pretends there's a deep reality behind it, when there's nothing at all. And finally, you hit stage 4. The image has zero connection to reality whatsoever. It's a pure simulacrum, only referring to other images.
And this really nails the difference. With representation, a sign points to something real. The word cat points to a furry animal. Simple. But with simulation, a sign just points to another sign in a crazy, endless loop that has no anchor in reality at all. It's a closed system. And this final stage, where the signs have totally replaced the real, this is what drops us into Baudrillard's most famous and maybe most disturbing idea, the hyperreal.
Now, what's crucial to understand is that the hyperreal isn't fake. In a way, it's more real than real. It's a new kind of reality that's been manufactured from models, a place where you can't tell the copy from the original, mostly because there is no original anymore.
And you might be thinking, okay, this is some pretty abstract philosophy, but this is where Baudrillard brings it right down to earth. He points his finger at one place in particular as the ultimate example of simulation, America. I mean, this is his absolute mic drop moment. He's saying Disneyland isn't the fantasy world, it's a decoy. It's set up to look imaginary so that we feel reassured that everything outside its gates, LA, America itself, is the real world. But for Baudrillard, that's the real illusion. The real America is the actual simulation. And once you get this logic, you start to see it everywhere. We don't have to walk or do physical labor anymore, so we invent jogging. We're losing genuine human connection, so we invent therapies to simulate it. In a world with too much food, we create health food to simulate scarcity. We're basically just recycling the ghosts of real experiences that we've already lost.
He even argues that a huge event like the Watergate scandal was part of the simulation. He'd say its purpose wasn't to expose a corrupt system, but actually to reassure everyone that there was a moral, just system to be corrupted in the first place. It was like a performance of a scandal, meant to make us believe in a political reality that had, in his view, already vanished.
This whole idea of a performance designed to prop up a reality that's fading, it was put on full display in this incredibly strange TV experiment from 1971, starring an ordinary family called the Louds.
Get this. For 7 months, a film crew recorded over 300 hours of their lives. The goal was so-called TV verite, to film them as if the cameras weren't there. But of course, that's a total paradox, right? The very act of watching something that closely changes it completely.
And the Loud family experiment proved this point perfectly. TV wasn't just observing their reality, it started generating it. The family started performing their lives for the camera, and everything started to unravel on screen. The line between the observer and the observed just dissolved. TV wasn't a window anymore, it was the engine creating the view. And that brings us right back to where we began. Here we are, in a world just saturated with media, models, information, and signs, but with no solid ground of reality anywhere to be found.
So in the end, Baudrillard leaves us with this really haunting question. And honestly, it feels more relevant now than ever before. We're surrounded by AI-generated images, hyperreal social media lives, and the whole idea of a metaverse. So if the map really has replaced the territory, how would we ever know?